May the Noble Triple Gem bless you all. So today also we meet once again after a month's duration. So we are about to discuss many teachings of the Lord Buddha today as well. So before proceeding, we would like to pay our homage to the Perfect One by chanting the Namaskara 3 times. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. We have come so far discussing about the teachings of the Buddha, and thereby your lives have changed. And if you may not have started to feel so, I'm sure that you will probably may experience this in the future. Because if you practice the teachings, the results is inevitable. We have come so far, having listened to the teachings of the Lord Buddha, and if you have practiced, you may know what I am talking about. Your lives would have changed, sometimes even beyond recognition. You may not be the same person as you used to be. It's a miracle of the dhamma, of the teachings of the Buddha. There's nothing special about the preacher or how and when you listen to it. It is the practice that you do. It's the enthusiasm that you want to change your life that has resulted. So, my dear children, I want you to focus about some aspect of your life today as well. So, let us take an example of a student who has sit for their exams and are currently enjoying their vacation. I think you may have gone through it, or you might be just going through it right now as we speak. So, these are the days that you have imagined to enjoy to the maximum when you were studying for your exam. When you were studying so hard, having sleepless nights, burning the midnight oil, studying so hard and doing past papers and correcting yourself and learning lessons out of each and every mistake that you make, you have got the thoughts of, oh, I just only wish that I could sleep for longer, because these days I'm having sleepless nights and I'm burning midnight oil and it's so painful. And your only wish would have been to have a adequate sleep, or to enjoy your time hanging around with your friends, and maybe to watch a movie or listen to music or whatever that you fancy. My dear children, so now you have got the time to enjoy your life, and now your dream has come true. And what do? It is so natural for you to do this. You enjoy your time to the maximum. And for that, you sleep until late in the morning. And most probably, you might have the breakfast and lunch at one go. Sometimes people call it brunch. And whatever that you do thereafter is to enjoy yourself to the maximum. You may have got several movies from your friends, and you have to watch them, and you have to reserve some time to watch them, and you have no bonds, you have no boundaries, you don't have anything to study, therefore your efforts are to enjoy your time. So during this time, what do you expect to happen? You're doing this to satisfy yourself. But my dear children, as the time passes, on the first day, you enjoy to the maximum. And on the second day, of course, you do the same and you try to enjoy that level, but that fails. How about the third day? You can't enjoy even that much. So little by little, the pleasure that you gain of these activities, they fade away, they diminish. What do you think the reason is? Some children say that they cannot continue with what they do because they get fed up. Do you agree to that phenomenon? I think you may have come across this phenomenon quite frequently because, that's the usual experience that you may have come through. But why do you think that happens? Do you think that the pleasure that you gain from that activity, it diminishes because of the frequency that you do? If you engage in an activity very frequently, do you think that the pleasure that you gain from that activity diminish just because you do it repeatedly, very frequently? I don't think that's the reason for the pleasure to diminish. What do you imagine the reason for the pleasure to diminish? Actually, why do you get fed up with the activity? The reason behind this is the pleasure, it actually diminishes over the time. Therefore, you get fed up. Actually, you don't get fed up with the activity. You get fed up just because the pleasure is reducing over time. If the pleasure didn't reduce, you would never get fed up. So, because of this phenomenon, people cannot engage in a particular thing for any longer. Therefore, people roam from one thing to the other. I think this applies to your life as well. Because if you try to enjoy listening to music, how long can you do that for? Not for long. Sooner you'll get fed up and you'll start moving to something else. You'll start watching a movie, or you'll start hanging around with your friends, or doing something else. Actually, what I need you to do here is to focus whether actually you're doing it or you're forced to do it. Because, my dear children, when you want to do something, it creates a great pressure in the mind, what we refer to as vexation. I think if you can recall to our previous discussions, I think we have tried and explained this phenomenon. The vexation that is created, or the pressure, it exerts a huge force to your mind and it triggers an action. And these actions are triggered by the pressure that is created in your mind. Therefore, all the actions that you have taken so far, they are not your actions, unfortunately. You had to make them. You had to make those decisions, and thereafter, whatever that action that you made thereafter was not your action. Actually, they were made out of the pressure that was created in your mind. What do you think? If someone asks you to change your decision and do otherwise, let's just imagine your mother comes. Your mother comes and asks you to help her with her household chores. What do you imagine to happen? Would you welcome and embrace that idea with a very affectionate words? Or what is likely to happen? How might you have interpreted it? You have a different interpretation. That could be, your mom is going to destroy your happiness. Therefore, it is natural to appear these kinds of thoughts. So, no, I'm not going to help you. And you might be a bit angry as well. Out of this anger, certain words might come out of your mouth. At that time, also, are you doing it? My dear children, when the pressure is built up in your mind, can you help that? You have no idea what you're doing. You have no idea what you're supposed to do, and you have no idea where you are. Therefore, dear children, it is very dangerous. The mind is very dangerous when the vexation is developed to the maximum, and it will be released whatsoever. Therefore, dear children, I need you to be focused. And when the pressure is developed to that much, you have no control of your mind. Unfortunately not. The only refuge that you have at that time would be doing that action that you wanted to do. But if that action is something that is not acceptable by the society or by the law, unfortunately, you're in a big trouble. But you couldn't help that mind. Remember, all the people who have made offenses, committed offenses, people say that they committed it, but do you agree to that? If you know what is going through your mind, they had to do that because the pressure inside their mind was so tremendous they couldn't control it. Actually, rather saying that they did it, the pressure in their mind did it. My dear children, don't let this phenomenon happen in your mind. Not even the Lord Buddha could help you at this point when the pressure is developed so much. But you can help yourself before that, way before that. You can prevent this from happening. If you understand the mechanism of the mind, which would lead to generation of this pressure, you could help yourself. Don't worry, I'll tell you the way. Let's discuss. And if you have diagnosed your mind correctly, you would prevent generation of this pressure in your mind. How could you do so? Because if you have understood the cause for this pressure, you can reduce and eradicate the cause. Therefore, the pressure wouldn't manifest in the mind. My dear children, what do you think the cause for the pressure in the mind? I'm sure that you have listened to our previous talks because we have discussed about this. What do you imagine the cause for pressure in the mind to be? It's none other than the wanting, the expectations that we have. The undue expectation that we have and we have projected to the society, to our parents, to our siblings, to our friends and family, to whomever or wherever that we consider, would only bring us suffering. By suffering, I mean this pressure. Sometimes you may want your siblings to play with you or to spend time with you, but they might be busier than you. Therefore, the expectation that you have set for them, now that doesn't come true. Therefore, you are filled with a lot of pressure and you have no way of releasing it. My dear children, that is a very uncomfortable situation and you may start suffering and you don't have any refuge. Dear children, you don't have to suffer like this because the dhamma still prevails and the dhamma will be your rescue, and let us rescue you because we know the path and you just have to listen to it and understand it and practice it. That is what is needed. Lord Buddha has said, Sunata Dhareta Charata Dhammi. So these were the words of the Buddha. So that is why we take this much effort to give this gift to you, which is ungiftable by anyone or anything. Therefore, my dear children, be very conscious about the decisions that you make. Just think about whether are you making the decision or your vexations or your pressures in the mind are leading you to or guiding for you to make that decision. My dear children, when the vexation is developed, no one can help you. But if you identify the cause of the vexation, cause of the pressure, and if you can prevent it, you wouldn't have to be helpless like that in future. Like you have been in the past, You don't have to seek help from someone who cannot give you the correct help. My dear children, let's see what is really happening in your mind. And when you have identified it, when you know what is to do, you can be independent. But now, are you? Are you independent? Just ask that question from you. Then you'll understand that you have never been independent of your pressures in your mind. If you have eradicated all the pressures and all the vexation in your mind, now I agree, you are an independent person. Would you like to be independent? It's your call, dear children. It's the time to be independent, and you cannot be independent just like that. You need some guidance. You need some guidance who have already been guided, who have already eradicated their pressures in mind, or who are in the process of eradicating their pressures and vexation in their mind. Therefore, dear children, be guided. This is the light. This is the light that you see at the end of the tunnel. There is hope, my dear children. You are not all by yourself. The guiding light has been lit for 2,500 years now. You can be guided. Therefore, have hope and practice what we discuss and what you learn, and you will be guided for sure. So, dear children, with that, I would like to conclude our discussion that we had today. So, in our future sessions, I'm sure that you will learn more and more teachings that we can practice and prevent ourselves from getting into troubles. So, with such time, the blessings of the Noble Triple Gem be with you. So, before we conclude, we will do a small merit transfer. Out of the merits that we have acquired from today's discussion and having learned to many aspects of the Dhamma, may all the merits be transferred to all sentient beings in all worlds. And if any of our ancestors have been born in the woeful planes, may they redeem from the woeful planes and be born in the blissful planes. May they abstain from unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the Noble Eightfold Path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.